Hey guys, sorry the light in my room is so dark, but anyways, let's get started. So, flappers in the Roaring 20s were a major part of the cultural shift. They were very free about drinking alcohol, which was specifically against the Prohibition Act. They were very free with sex. They even had parties in which sex was the main idea. It was all about making out and foreplay and etc. And at those parties, they would dance jazz, which was not traditionally conventional, and they would wear short skirts and have unkempt hair. And in fact, the word flapper originally derived from the word from some translation of the word prostitute way back when, which I found interesting because a lot of people did find them very offensive, especially towards the traditional Protestant church. And an example of these types of flappers are the kind of people that would show up at Gatsby's parties, if you guys could remember. You remember Gatsby's parties was full of jazz music specifically. In fact, I mentioned that specifically in the book. And it was full of many people who were just there to party. They didn't even know Gatsby. It was nothing formal. It was just, there was a party, there was music, it was lively, and it was an excuse for people to meet each other. And it did not differentiate which type of party it was. I mean, like I said, there are these specific parties that were meant for meeting other people, and basically the sex part was the appeal of it. But if you think about it and you sort of connect the dots, it seems a little bit like that could have been part of the case, or at least maybe under the radar somewhere. It's really important to note how the role of women in the 1920s completely changed because of the flappers movement. The conventions of women were being questioned, were being protested against, not intentionally, there was no violent protest. It was more of a cultural protest, in that women now, because they were wearing different outfits, because they were treating themselves differently, made other people treat them differently. They were viewed as stronger, they were more independent, and Combet can expand upon this. See you guys.
Hi guys! Flappers were the new women of the 1920s. They wanted to express their individuality by doing the opposite of what was accepted by society. They weren't acting ladylike anymore, but instead they were out drinking, smoking, and wearing boyish attire. They replaced the Gibson girl image, which was then seen as the perfect woman. The flappers would wear short, loose dresses which would hit just below the knee. This way, while they were dancing, their knees would show. It was very different from what society accepted, of course, and then society began to protest against them, not by actually going out and say stop the flappers, but just by not accepting them. They completely contrasted the Gibson girl, who would wear blouses, long skirts, and they had long, beautiful hair. The flappers would be less feminine and have short hair with very heavy makeup. Clara Bow was one of the most famous flappers of the 1920s. She was born in 1905 in New York, and she was one of the first actresses to show off sexuality and sex appeal on screen, and she wasn't ashamed of it. She was an icon to many stars such as Marilyn Monroe and Madonna. She was a carefree person that had many wild times, but in the 1930s, her life began to fall and Paramount discontinued working with her. She was later seen as a wild person and as the most famous flapper, of course.